6 minutes late.
I was looking at it, still had about 15 minutes, so we'll go ahead and open the meeting. San Juan County Commission, State of Utah. At this time, we have a roll call. I believe Mr. Marybo is online or on the phone. Are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Mr. Adam, Commissioner Adam is here also, and myself. We have full quorum. So with that, invitation for evocation. Anyone? Thank you.
Lord Almighty, please lead us through this meeting. Please help us make good decisions. Have everybody be civil and bring the facts. Lord, we thank you for bringing us here today, and we thank you for everything. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Next is the agenda. Mr. Badal,
All right. Under
you're a good reader, so
consent agenda items.
the agenda.
Yeah, the approval of the June 7th, 2022 commission meeting minutes, approval of the June 4th to June 17th, 2022 check registers, the approval of the $25,094.12 in small purchases. You have $13,755 for election supplies from the clerk auditor's office, $8,940 for fixed license plate camera with 5-year service agreement for the sheriff's office, and $2,399.12 for a laptop computer for public health department. Item number 4, approval of $70,000 grant from the Utah Commission of Criminal and Justice Services. Item number 5, approval of San Juan County fiscal year 2023 nurse home visiting San Juan County Health Department. Then you've got the approval of the San Juan County Tuberculosis Prevention and Control Amendment number 4. You have approval of the San Juan County LHD Environmental Services Amendment number 1, and approval of the San Juan County Utah Indoor Clean Air Act Amendment number 1. Number 9, you have an approval of the San Juan County Health Department COVID-19 tests activities for K through 12 schools, Amendment number 1. Approval of the local health department WIC program, San Juan Amendment number 4. The approval of $10,999.99 for the purchase of a portable pressure washer. Then you have item number 12, approval of a contract renewal with the State of Utah Division of Workforce Services and the Navajo Revitalization Funds for the Navajo Mountain Secondary Water Project. Under business action items, you have consideration and adoption of a cooperating agency agreement with the Bureau of Land Management in the planning process for Bears National Monument. I see Jake here. I think Jake's given a brief presentation on that one. Item 14, approval of memorandum of understanding between the Utah State University Prevention Science Institute and San Juan Public Health to train local students to complete projects that prevent crime, disease, and poverty and prepare them for local employment in our communities. This presentation will be given by Dr. Snada, our Public Health Director. Item 15, Bureau of Land Management, Gunnison Sage Grouse Resource Management Plan Amendment, Environmental Impact Statement. This will be presented by Nick, Public Lands Coordinator. Item 16, consideration and approval of $500,000 purchase of 2 Peterbilt trucks with dump body and snowplow equipment. This will be provided by TJ, our road superintendent. Item 17, consideration and approval of $15,056 for the replacement engine and the water truck. This will be presented by TJ as well. Item 18, consideration and claim of a claim denial for North Moab Holding LLC. Notice of claim. This will be presented by Brittany, our county attorney. Item 19 on here is consideration and approval of ranches at Elk Meadow, Amendment Number 2. Brian Black, Monticello Development Company LLC. This will be presented by Scott Burton, our planning and zoning director. Item 20, consideration and approval of Black and Nagel subdivision, lot 16B, amendment number 2. That'll be presented by Scott. Consideration and approval of Coronado Park subdivision, track C, amendment. Then item 22 is consideration and approval of overnight accommodations overlay application for Stephen Howard, Red Rock Earth Movers. This will be presented by Scott as well. On item 23, consideration and approval of an overnight accommodations overlay application for Alicia Davis. This will be presented by Scott. And then you have commission reports as your final item on the agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay,
I'll second that.
second by Mr. Adams. Any adjustment? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Also. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Public comment.
Okay, today for our public comments, just as a reminder, public comments will be received 3 minutes apiece for each public comment. Please try to refrain from being repetitive in your public comments. For those of you online, there is a raise your hand feature. If you right click on your name, you'll be able to raise your hand if you're wanting to make public comments on there, and then we'll recognize you according to your hand being raised. If not, at the end of all public comments, then we will recognize those of you that are unmuted at the time. With that, also, please just make sure to note that this is public comments where the commissioners can hear you. It's not an opportunity to debate or have a dialogue discussion that has happened in the past. So just with that being said, we'll begin our public comments here with members in our audience. I have on here first is Stuart Smith. Just as you come up, please state your name and where you reside within the county for the record, and we'll capture that. Stuart.
I'd like to let Robbie Philcon go before I do. She has a little bit more information that she can provide, and I think I might be repetitive if I cover the same thing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good morning. I've given each of you a handout that I'll refer to today, and we'll start with the side that has red on it. This is about number 19, the ranches at Elk Meadows, and in the last several months, the developer has showed us one commitment. The one commitment has been the letter below that I show you, and that was to subdivide and develop or sell lots in lot 64, 65, 66, 67. We've all seen that usually a developer will bring an extensive packet showing their commitment to the roads, the water, the sewer. In this case, not so much, and we've asked for months. So in this case, here's what the developer has said they would do about roads, water, and sewer if you approve this plat today. Well, he said, the main concern was the streets, so I talked to TJ and we worked it out. Please ask the developer what worked it out means, how many private roads will be coming into this development, and what does it mean, or maybe ask the roads department what has been worked out. That is what the developer committed to regarding this development. The second thing that the developer said was, well, everything else in the 1 acre subdivided lots here is the water and sewage, it has been taken care of. Again, please ask the developer to elaborate what exactly has been taken care of. Please provide the documentation from the state of Utah, water department, anybody in health and safety. We expect a commitment in San Juan County when somebody comes and develops, especially in an A1 area. I truly believe that the duty of all commissions, not just this one, all commissions in San Juan County, is to set the precedent with all developers, that all developers make a commitment to developing correctly and being forthcoming with what they plan to do. And with this plat, IV-wed, give us a commitment here. What are you going to do? What does it look like? Spell it out. We have not gotten that. We have been reasonable over the last many, many, many months asking, and we have gotten nothing but, we're going to subdivide these lots. We got a generic plat that you have on the back. That's it. So at this point, what more can you do? Really, the only thing to do at this point is just to deny it and move on. There will be no commitment. That's it.
Thank you. Okay. So Stuart, did we want to go back to you on that? Or?
Sure. Stuart Smith. I also live in Elk Meadows. Item 19 on your agenda is a request for subdivision of the ranches of Elk Meadows. I'm asking you to deny the plan. The subdivision of this agricultural property does not align with the general plan adopted by San Juan County. A county employee who has knowledge of that property through his former role with the health department discussed with me what hoops the previous Elk Meadows Phase 2 subdivision had to go through to get approval for much larger lots, and that included becoming a water authority and running a wastewater treatment facility as well. This subdivision plan has nothing like that attached to it, as Robbie pointed out. Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Greyeyes have suggested some sort of bond be created to ensure that the proposed solutions come to be, but the solutions have not been presented. References to discussions the developer had with TJ and Ronnie, those are real nice, but we don't see the paperwork. There's nothing there for us to bond. I'm just asking you not to rush this through a loophole that the previous amendment in 2019 created. You showed your concern for the errors in that 2019 amendment and ordered it to be overhauled. It was out of sync with the county's general plan, and so is this subdivision. Please vote no on this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. And then the next one I had on here, so Robbie had done hers. So Joe.
Commissioners, everybody, all I can say is, wow, guys. Talk about bringing facts to the table here. Commissioners, we've been at this now since January. They've been trying to push through this poorly planned out development using that 2019 agenda, a 2019 amendment as their magic key to get this thing through. This was poorly thought out from the very beginning, and it still is today. We tried to educate everybody in planning and zoning and in San Juan County what spot zoning actually is. Once again, spot zoning is when they try to put a development in an area where it has no business belonging. Out in Elk Meadows area, we're all, 5, 10, 20 acre parcels. This out-of-town developer wants to come in and take a 5 acre parcel and chop it up as small as he can to sell it off to make as much money as he can. Then he's gone. We're never going to see him again. He's going to leave us with this mess. What we're trying to do is avoid the mess before it happens. And so far, the commission has helped us, has steered us in the right direction, has made good, solid choices. We voted this down before. We need to vote it down again. They don't have their ducks in a row. They never have. And even what Stuart was saying, what Robbie was saying is all factual. Let's, I ask you to vote this down, deny it, and help us save our homes out there so it doesn't turn into something that we don't want it to be. It's against the general plan. That should be enough. Thank you, guys, ladies, everybody.
Okay, that was all that we had signed up for public comments here in the audience. Anybody else wishing to make a public comment in here? Okay, with that being said, we'll then go to those individuals online. Looks like I have Todd's iPhone. So TJ, go ahead and unmute yourself if you're there.
Can you hear me?
We can.
I just wanted to make a comment on some of the stuff that was brought up about what the road department said in discussing this subdivision. It is a private road coming off of a private road. So the road department doesn't have any, we don't have any jurisdiction over it. So that was what was communicated to the developer. Now, my opinion is that they should build that road to county road standards, even though it's private, which would require a 50-foot into the cul-de-sac. And in their plan, they have a 37.5-foot, and then follow our road standards. But like I said, because it's a private road off of a private road, so it has no county road access, I can't dictate what they do with how they've submitted their plan to the planning and zoning. So I just wanted to put that on the record. Thank you.
Thanks, TJ. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment that's online? Not seeing any other hands raised. If you go ahead and unmute yourself, we'll recognize you.
Can you hear me, Commission?
We can.
Yeah, hi, this is Lynette Clark. I live in Spanish Valley. Good morning, and I thank you for your service to our county. I just want to speak very briefly about item number 23 on your agenda, and that is an application for an overlay for overnight accommodation, and that is down there in Spanish Valley, where I live, and it is at the intersection of the Old Airport Road and Highway 191 on the other side of the highway. And so that's 7 acres. And the name of the development is Rockview Development. So I just want to caution the commission about this overnight overlay application. No details are given regarding the main use of this. Nothing. And it's 7 acres. And so before you approve it and give the developer the vested rights, I just think that you should ask a few questions to find out what the developer, Alicia Davis, has in mind. I think we have a problem with our overlay accommodation overnight overlay accommodation language, the ordinance. It doesn't specify that the developer has to give any details, which I think is wrong. I think a developer should at least give an idea, because this is important. It's 7 acres right at a major intersection. It's going to require a frontage road for the highway to get safe access into and out of for one. So that's my comment. I hope that you will inquire for details before you approve this. Thank you.
Thanks, Monet. Anyone else wishing to make a public comment? Okay, commissioners, not seeing anybody else unmute themselves or raise their hand. Nobody else in the audience. Turn the time back over to you, commissioners.
Okay. Next would be consent agenda. We have 12 items. If nobody motions, I'll motion.
I'll make a motion, we approve the items on the consent agenda with one question.
Second. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, TJ, are you still online, hopefully? Yeah. I think
Yes,
he
I
is. Tell us a little bit about the $10,999.99 purchase of a portable pressure washer. That seems like a lot of money.
Okay, well, it's one that's on a trailer. It's all skid mounted. It's hot water, so we can take down to our blades and equipment that's far from the shop to clean out radiators, clean out equipment, to work on them when they're remotely. Right now, we have to take our transport down, load up equipment, bring it all the way back to the yard to work on stuff when they're way too dirty to get under and work on. So this is just a portable pressure washer so we can work remotely and keep things running. With the dust and things like that, they plug up our radiators quite a bit, and we have a hard time keeping our units cool, our blades and things. So that's what this is for. And it's the reason it's more expensive than a normal pressure washer is because it actually has hot water. It'll make hot water.
So you had 3 bids on it. Which one are you asking to approve?
The 1099 one, we had 2 that were identical units. One has around $1,000 of shipping on it, and so
Oh, okay.
and then the other one was a vendor that makes them for you, and theirs was the highest bid. So that's why 2 are identical. One just has a shipping charge. The other one's ship free to us.
And you've contacted them and made sure that the one that said no shipping charge or says delivered will do it for that price?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we deal with Northern Tool a lot on the
Okay.
stuff we do. We have an account with them and everything. So
Okay, you may not need it because there's supposed to be a big monsoon coming over this next week, so might have a lot of moisture in the county.
I'll hold off on ordering it for a week.
Now you better order it. That's all I had, Commissioner.
Is that monsoon hot water?
No, it's not. It might not even hit the ground.
Okay. Any further question or comments? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. So motion carries. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Down to the 13.
All right, item 13 is consideration and adoption of a cooperating agency agreement with the Bureau of Land Management and the planning process for Bears Ears National Monument. Turn the time over to Jake Palma. I understand you've been promoted and accepted. Congratulations. That's
Thanks,
pretty cool.
Mac. Yeah. So we'll do a couple introductions. I got Michael here with me, but for the last 3 years, you've known me as the monument manager for Bears Ears, and as of officially today, I am the field manager for the Monticello Field Office for the BLM. So we oversee about 1.8 million acres, which includes Bears Ears National Monument. So but I'll let Michael introduce us, but we're here to talk about cooperating agency status for the county as we jump into a new planning effort for Bears Ears National Monument as directed by Presidential Proclamation 10285, signed last October by President Biden. And it's a jointly managed monument with the Forest Service. And so I'll let Michael introduce himself.
Yeah, good morning to the commission. This is I'm Michael Englehart. I am the district ranger for the Moab and Monticello Ranger District. My office is in Moab, but I have responsibility over the LaSalles and the Abajos. So about 550,000 acres of the most beautiful land you could ever imagine. 289,000 acres of those land were designated under the monument, the last proclamation of Forest Service land there. So we are embarking on I guess I would describe it as a very aggressive planning schedule for developing a monument or resource management plan for the Bears Ears National Monument as proclaimed last October. As part of that, we've submitted a request to the County Commission here in San Juan to join with us in being consider being a cooperating agency in that endeavor. We do so because we recognize that local governments, tribal governments, other entities are of such value and importance for us to develop the plan with the thoughts of the local community in mind as we proceed in this monument planning. We hope that you'll join us as a cooperating agency. We think that it's important that you're given this opportunity to engage at that level, and we would look forward to that cooperating agency relationship with you as well. Jake?
Yeah. So I don't know if you all have questions for us about cooperating agency status and what that means, but I think, the timeline that we have is we're hoping to finish a resource management plan by March of 2024. So that means a lot of meetings between now and March of 2024 to get insight, not only from San Juan County, if you choose to be cooperating agencies, but tribal governments, and through consultation through the Bears Ears Commission, which was also established through presidential proclamation, and through public engagement as well. So there'll be a lot of public engagement throughout the process. And then other cooperating agencies, we will be inviting the tribes to participate. We consult with 32 tribal nations, and all 32 will be invited to participate as cooperating agencies if they choose to. Other cooperating agencies could be, we're going to invite the local town, cities, Bluff, Monticello, Blanding will be invited to participate, as well as some other federal agencies like the National Park Service and organizations like that. And so, if the commissioners, if you have questions about cooperating agency status, we can answer some of those. But look forward to getting insight from the county in the development of those plans to look at consistency with local plans and getting some of that local insight, knowledge, and expertise as we develop these plans. And then on top of that, if you do accept the invitation, then who would be the points of contact from the county for us to work with through this process, and to be attending the meetings as we go through and develop our different alternatives and other things. So I think that's what we had for you today, and anxious to hear back from you and your thoughts through that process. Unless you had other things, Mike.
No, we're good.
Mr. Adams?
Well, Michael, glad to meet you finally. I think I've talked to you on the phone a dozen times or
Absolutely.
so it's good to meet you. And congratulations, Jake, on your new assignment. It'll probably be a lot easier than what you had before. So, anyway, appreciate both of you coming, and I'm an advocate of cooperating agency for the county at almost any level that we have an opportunity to be a cooperating agent. And I think in the past we've had Mr. Sandberg kind of be our point guy, unless we're going to change that. Mac, that sounds like a good plan for us. And I guess my question is, with this new proclamation, how many dollars did they appropriate for your agencies to implement a management plan?
Yeah, so we did get the funding. So the plan is funded. We have a contract that's been awarded, and so it's an organization called SWCA or SWCA that will be developing the resource management plan hand in hand with the agencies. So we have that money.
Okay, I guess maybe I was a little unclear as far as implementation of what's decided how you're going to management.
Mhm.
Did you get any dollars to build restrooms, put up signs, interpretive kiosks, all of those kind of things that the previous uh, advisory committee had recommended on the Bears Ears?
Mhm. So there has been some small, just this year, there's been some small increases in base funding, but I think we're still working through some funding requests that we've submitted to our headquarters in Washington for them to get back and get some additional funding for some other things. So there is some additional funding that has come through on
Okay.
top of the money that was for the plan, and the Forest Service could be a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. So no new appropriated dollars. So we're talking about realigned dollars both at the national and our regional level for the Forest Service. So the regional office made a significant reinvestment of dollars that were appropriated last fiscal year. And that in part went towards this planning contract that we joined with the BLM in doing. But some of that also had to do with additional dollars for staffing, temporary staffing, things like rangers, signs to put up, some more immediate needs that we recognize that the Bears Ears National Monument needs. And just recently, last January, the Washington office realigned a significant amount of dollars. A lot of those dollars went towards this planning contract. And I would say roughly about 1/3 of that went towards various agreements with, just to name a few partners that we partner with. Spring Stewardship Institute, we've partnered with to better understand the hydrologic function of the highlands. So significant investments there is partnered with them. Dollars in partnering with tribes, tribal entities, things like that. And dealing with some very immediate concerns about influxes in recreation and in managing some of the traffic that we're seeing. So those dollars been identified and we're already placing those to work. Total amount of realigned for the Forest Service, I'll just say, is about $1.3 million is what we've realigned at the regional and the national level to support this.
Good. Oh, another question. As a cooperating agent, the county, which I advocate that we become, and I know I'm probably talking to the wrong people, but I'm going to say it anyway. The impacts to the county are significant with the placement of the monument in the county. And do your supervisors or people that are over you, do they expect the county to do all of the road maintenance? Do they expect the county to provide law enforcement? Do they expect the county to pick up the trash? Do they expect the county to provide search and rescue? Do they expect the county to send out their emergency vehicles with no added dollars to the county because the monument now exists in the county?
For the forest.
I guess I'll speak for the forest. Looking at the dollars identified most immediately, we were looking at trying or attempting this year. I got the dollars in short order. So we're trying to use an existing agreement with the roads department to place more dollars into that agreement as well.
Good.
To support. We recognize that San Juan County roads, there's none better. They do a great job out there. So we reached out and did get some dollars realigned for that. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get that into agreement this year, but we're working on it and we recognize that. I think for me, and just to get to your point, Commissioner, we do recognize that with the influx of tourists and the influx of who you see and how much you see, and the impacts to the land out there, that it's just not our two agencies' burden. That it also involves our local county, local governments, our citizens who maybe lived on a quiet road that may not be so quiet anymore. You know, all of these stories that come on with this. So I think that's one really great way that we can expand some of those conversations and think about what we can do together. So.
If we get these questions, quite often. So I'm gonna ask you. If I'm a visitor from Japan and I come to you and I say, "Where's the Bears Ears? Where do I go to see the Bears Ears monument?" What do you tell me?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because it's a question we get a lot as well. And, folks are they don't necessarily know what they're coming to see. It's such a
Right.
huge landscape. And so I think it's, we have folks in our front desks and people that, anybody can call and check in with. And we try to get that information out as best as possible. But, simple conversations of, what are you looking for and kind of their skill set and ability. And, they just want to get somewhere close off the road or backpack in or hike somewhere easy. And I think just some of these small conversations have been helpful to
Do
get
you have
them
some maps, Jake?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have maps so you can give somebody a map and say, this is a paved road, this is a D road, this is a gravel road. These are going to be things that we, the county, end up dealing with because we get the calls that say, "Hey, I'm in my car and I'm up Arch Canyon and I'm stuck. How do I get out?"
Yeah, and it happens a lot. I think we've had historically a document that we call the Cedar Mesa Trip Planner, and it kind of gives an idea of different places that individuals or families can go. And that's in the process of being expanded here in the future to include Forest Service locations as well as Park Service. I know there's a lot of different agencies that administer different landscapes within the same region. So we'll have more information available. We have maps online that are geo-referenced, so you have a little blue dot on your phone that'll tell you exactly where you're at.
And I know you're reluctant to identify all of the ruins and cultural resources because you don't want that influx of people to come, but there are some that kind of make sense and they're easy to get to. I'm sure you get tons of visitors at House on Fire and maybe some of these more iconic ruins, but just my concern is for the county and for our resources and what we deal with visitation. And we're disappointed that there hasn't been some dollars come to the county to offset, what the taxpayers have to pay to take care of all these visitors and all the visitation that comes. So it's just kind of I'm an editorial comment today.
Yeah, thanks, Bruce.
No, that's really valuable, and there have been a couple of places where we've thought of the county as we're asking for realigned dollars to come down to us. One is roads. We do have an agreement with the Sheriff's Department as well, and we'll be looking at those dollars. But it's great feedback from you, Bruce, and I really appreciate it,
Yep.
Commissioner.
Okay.
We can increase our own staff and law enforcement and stuff, but it only goes so far to ease that burden. So yeah, we'll look more into that.
That's all I had.
Any further question from others? Thank you, gentlemen.
Commissioner Maryboy, can you hear us? He texted me saying he was trying to make a comment.
Who?
Commissioner Maryboy.
Oh, okay.
Let's see if we can get him on real quick. He was having troubles with his phone and try *6. See if that'll work. On this end, we're not showing that you're muted. Oh, now he disappeared altogether. Try that.
Oh.
We can faintly hear you. Now we can't hear you at all.
Oh.
Right there.
Oh.
I could hear you just faintly. It's like we can barely hear you. Stand on that pop can that you have down there.
Get a little closer.
I know.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much for the motion and all comment. I think that the county we cooperative agreement BLM and the Bears Ears National Monument Resource Management Plan. Good opportunity Navajos to make American concerns not adequately expressed. And on top of that, I don't see ways of what Mr. Adam has requested is together and engaged. And that's the recommendation. Adequately address cultural resources. That would be my motion, Mr. Chair. Very much.
It's kind of like you're breaking up there, Commissioner Maryboy. We couldn't hear all of your motion.
Except for the motion.
Yeah, the fact that you stated you made a motion, we couldn't hear very much there. It's like I don't know if it's on speakerphone. We couldn't hear you too much on that.
You went ahead and motioned to approve.
I didn't hear an approval on there. I just heard, and that's my motion.
Motion for approval.
There you go. Motion
There
to
you
approve.
go. Okay. Motion is made to approve or cooperative agency agreement made by Mr. Kenneth Maryboy.
Is this both with the Forest Service and the BLM then? Because it just says BLM on the agenda.
Correct. The letter, we're creating a new letterhead more or less because we've been charged under the proclamation to jointly manage the national monument. So it's that joint management relationship. So it's applicable to both agencies.
Yeah.
So
If you see the letter itself, it's signed by the forest supervisor
Okay.
and the state director of the BLM.
So it ought to be a motion cooperating agency with the BLM and the Forest Service.
yes.
Okay, I'll second that.
Motion has been seconded by Mr. Adams. Any question? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Mr. Maryboy, how do you vote?
Aye, yes.
Aye. 3 in favor, opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you
And
for your time.
Thanks,
I'll
guys.
just add that, the next step would be a memorandum of understanding to kind of formalize that agreement between us and you all, and we'll present that when it's ready too.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Number 14.
All right. The approval of a memorandum of understanding between the Utah State University Prevention Science Institute and San Juan Public Health to train local students to complete projects that prevent crime, disease, and poverty and prepare them for local employment in our communities.
Yes.
Doctor, it's all you.
Thank you so much. Greetings to the public, commissioners. Really pleased to be here also with Dr. Sam Arungwa. Just want to check in, make sure
Sam is there.
There he is.
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can see you too. Thank you, Sam. One of great pleasures while being in the county has been building relationships with Utah State University Blanding campus. And part of that has been getting to know Dr. Sam Arungwa and his Prevention Science Institute. So this memorandum of agreement is basically a process to establish a shared internship. So the goal here is to train local students to work on local public health projects, to promote, like we said here, not just health, but how health is interconnected with safety, with economics, with all these other pieces. And with the long-term goal of those people staying and then working in public health, be it, you know, in my agency or down the road, maybe replacing me, right? And or in other aspects. Public health is very broad. We're all working together to prevent disease, promote wellness, all of these things. So, I'll let Sam introduce himself and kind of their part of it, and then we can share a little bit about the details, the funding part. Dr. Rungwa, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sunada. Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Oh, Commissioners, it's a pleasure to, I should say, meet you. I apologize, I'm not there in person, but I promise next time we do this, I will be in person. But my name is Samuel Chibuike Arungwa. I was born and raised in the Igbo tribe in Nigeria, West Africa, and I had the privilege of being kidnapped. No, not kidnapped, adopted by a couple from the state of Utah. They were missionaries in my village, and when I was 14 years old, and I told them my sad story that I couldn't go to secondary school. I just finished primary school, and they were very gracious to adopt me, and eventually it took forever, seemed like forever, it took another 10 years. So when I reached 25 years of age, they were able to bring me over to the United States so I can have the privilege of earning higher education, going to college. And so I never got to go to secondary school, but I got to skip. And thanks to the American higher education, I went through a community college and filled the gaps that I had in my knowledge. And I was able to go from community college to universities. I do have a PhD in juvenile justice. I think I'm the only one in the state of Utah who has that degree. So I'm really, really, really excited to be able to put it to good use. I also have a master's degree in administration of justice. So I know my way around prisons and law enforcement and the court system about how to help our citizens who are impacted by the justice system to be able to get back on their feet, what we call reentry in our communities. I also have a postdoctorate degree in what we call prevention science. And that's why I'm really excited to be here with you today, because that's why one of the major reasons that Utah State University hired me so that I can help all 29 counties in Utah to work with the county governments, the commissioners and the city mayors and city councils as they try to figure out a way to not only reduce their social problems, but think of a way to prevent it from happening in the first place. So I specialize in crime, disease, and poverty rate. Those are the three social problems that I specialize in. And I live here in San Juan County. So although I travel quite a bit to all the other counties to help them, they've whispered in my ear that I should do my best work in San Juan County. And when they hired me, they told me that I must live in San Juan County, which was a joy to me because San Juan County is the closest county to the village where I was born and raised in West Africa. So I'm happy. I can't say the same about my wife because she was born and raised in Houston, Texas, but I live here with my family. I wanted you all to know that, and that I'm not just doing this as a job since I live here. I want to be available to all of you as a commission to I can provide you with advice, but in addition to advice, I can also provide what we call technical training. If you didn't know how to implement those programs, I can help with training our own citizens. The first step in doing that is that we have to educate them. Prevention science requires higher education. So Dr. Grant and I have something in common. We are both San Juan County, what do they call us? Plants or transplants. We were not born and raised here. So he and I agree that we would love to work ourselves out of a job. We want people from San Juan to take over what we do, in his case as public health director, and in my case as your county prevention scientist. So this is a pipeline that we've created so we can recruit people from our community. It's open to anybody, but we're targeting those who come from disadvantaged backgrounds. Those are especially our target, those who are impacted by crime, disease, or poverty in their family. We like to be able to recruit them and put them through intensive training over a period of years so they can earn certificate and degrees that they need to be able to join our team to work in public health and work in prevention science. We think it's about time for San Juan to go from fighting these problems after they've occurred to getting ahead, stopping it before it happens in the first place. And I don't think you could ask for a better team than what we have, but we like to replace ourselves with people from San Juan. And so that's the purpose of this internship, is to create opportunity for every student in San Juan County, especially those who are from low-income families or those who have been impacted by incarceration or disability or any kind of disease. We want to be proactive in seeking them out and helping them to come through. Dr. Grant and I specialize in eliminating the barriers that they would face. We are very knowledgeable in how to do that, more so than what's been going on here for decades or maybe centuries. We have some great ideas, what we call evidence-based programs. Evidence-based programs. These are programs that have already been tested and proven in other counties, but they are not here in San Juan County. We like to bring them and implement them. We also want to help you in funding those programs. There are millions of dollars in what we call grants that are available from the federal government, from global communities, from local, from our state. And San Juan is not really good at bringing in these grants. So that's an area that we like to work on, so that we not only bring the program, we bring the funding that will help to implement it. So I am beyond excited. I apologize, it took almost 2 years to meet you. I promised that would change. We came in the middle of COVID and it's taken a while to find our feet, but we are ready to go to work for you. And so this agreement is one out of maybe a dozen that I dream of, Utah State University and other universities. So my work is an extension. We not only work with one university, we work with all the universities in the state of Utah and all the universities across the country. Dr. Grant and I want to open the doors for them to come here and help us if we need them. And we're targeting those who are bringing their own resources. So we're not exactly going to be hitting you up for money. So this agreement opens the door for that internship. And like I said, we have enough for every student in San Juan County. And we want to start with those who are less fortunate, but there's more than enough in looking at programs to prevent social problems. And we're going to come to you to identify those problems. This agreement we're presenting today, we presented it to the Public Health Board, and they've already voted on it. So we feel confident that this is the time for you to take action, to give us the go-ahead so we can make this the first step out of many to put people to work. I have worked closely with Sheriff Torgerson and his team at the jail, in the prison. When it comes to crime, we want to start with those who are already locked up. We want to train them, extend post-secondary and higher education to them, and also guarantee them access to a job. We've also working closely with Department of Workforce for those who are unemployed or underemployed, so that we, as part of this pipeline, they can come and work for us as a university, and they'll be mentored directly by professors like myself or Dr. Grant. So I didn't ask for permission, but I asked my wife to join me. She's also a professor at Utah State University. And Deborah McKee, who is our very first intern. Today is our first day that we hired from Monticello. She's us from here in San Juan County. So they're with us here on Zoom. We think that if you approve this today, it's going to open up what we think is a floodgate, a pipeline, we call it sometimes, or pathway is another name we use. Just opportunity for people who are looking for work to train them and put them to work in these areas. So Dr. Grant, I don't know if I covered everything, but I'm happy to come in again, but that's really what comes to mind on this agreement.
And welcome the real Dr. Arungwa. Priscilla is here as well.
Yes, she is.
And congratulations to Deborah McKee. Appreciate you getting started, and look forward to getting to know you, since I'm new and haven't met you yet. But also want to clarify, this is a long-term investment. When I talk about my replacement, I'm talking about, down the road. So Sam might be in a different timeline. I don't know. But
I'm with you, Doc.
But a few little details here, just to add on to what Sam talked about. The county's part would be funded through an existing grant. It's listed here. It's the Public Health Crisis Response Workforce Grant. The intent of that grant is fairly broad in terms of expanding our public health capacity. And one thing that's listed there is this pipeline, or graduation to workforce pipelines. So internships, things like this. So you all have already approved of this larger, the broader grant, and this is a specific way to apply it. And the detail there also is that we would fund a fourth of the internship, and USU would fund the other 3/4. So capacity on the public health department side is 1 or 2 interns. Does take quite a bit of time to supervise someone like that, right? And we want to make sure we do a good job. Don't want to take on more than we can handle. Even though Sam, right, could probably take on more. He does. He can teach a lot of students and do a great job. And another key principle that we use is community engagement. So when we talk about our academic expertise, that doesn't replace local expertise. You all know the communities. You're the experts in that. And so we just want to merge those 2 types of expertise together. So questions, I hope. Comments?
So Adam,
It's nice to meet you, Dr. Sam. My name is Bruce Adams. I'm a county commissioner. And with all of your background in criminal justice, I have a personal question to ask you today.
Yes, sir.
An immediate member of my family received a speeding citation in Moab recently. She's unemployed. She's a senior citizen. Do you have any advice for me?
I do. Commissioner, I will start meeting with her and meeting with you, but I definitely have advice, and I think this is one that I feel comfortable that we can help. I don't want to air her dirty laundry in front of the commission, if it's okay with you.
All right, thanks.
Does she want to apply for an internship? Is this where this is going?
You put her to work.
She's apparently going to need to get a job so she can
There we go.
settle up with the state.
Pipeline.
Yes.
Motion.
motion made by Mr. Berryboy,
Second.
second by Mr. Adams. So any further question? If none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. Opposed, nay. Motion carried, 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Well, next time I hope to have a full PowerPoint presentation from Deborah McKee. No, no, but seriously, look forward to letting you know how it goes. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sam. Priscilla.
Thanks, Sam.
Next,
Could you-
15.
We do have a request to modify the agenda a little. Sorry, Nick. If we can. Brittany's got to get back to court. We've taken her away, and we have item, and we should have brought this up earlier, but I didn't realize the timeline. Item 18 on there. I don't know, commissioners, if you guys are willing to listen to item 18 so we can get her back to court before we hear
Can we,
Nick's on
can we
15.
also hear, maybe have Scott come in and do 19 at that same time? Because I'm going to need her help.
Okay.
Okay.
Commissioner Gray, is you
Go
okay
ahead.
with those adjustments? Okay. Sorry, Nick. Okay, so item 18, let's see, the one we're listening now, here now is item 18, consideration of a claim denial for North Moab Holding LLC, notice of a claim, April 19th, 2022, which looks like this. Go ahead.
So this is a claim that we received, and after review by our office, we don't believe that there is merit to this, so we would advise and ask the commission to sign off on this declination.
Brittany, can you just give us the short version of what the claim was?
Alex has been handling it more from our office. I have a little bit of insight from it, but I mean, it's a claim for a public land use. I believe that's what it is. It's a public land use that has come from Mr. Hansey. I don't know exactly what the details are on what exactly the claim is, but it goes back a few years. That anyway, I don't want to talk a lot about it now just because it is a public meeting, and I don't want to say anything if it does get proceeded. So I guess I don't have a lot more to add right now.
Looks like it was to stop or prohibit the use of 33 properties for short-term nightly rentals. Is that?
Yeah.
Let's see. So it was lot 33. So when the commissioners passed the Spanish Valley ordinance, there was a lot of confusion where the version that was passed was a draft version, and so we've been working through with the Planning Commission and developers all along with some of the issues that version has created. One of them in here that you had passed and you see later on today is this overlay district for short-term rentals. And so you prohibited short-term rentals in specific areas, created an overlay district. Well, that left some developers in a flux where some developers before the ordinance changed were in the process of they had overnight rentals that were allowed, and then we changed the ordinance and no longer allowed them within that Spanish Valley area. And so this is a gentleman that has contested that, listened to some of the meetings and discussions that's taken place. There was confusion even in staff's presentations, whether or not it was allowed. They consulted the attorney who said, that it was not, which was when we involved Alex. This gentleman filed a claim or an appeal to all of that, including in here, this notice is, one of the things they had mentioned that there was inefficient notice given to property owners when we adopted the ordinance, kind of staff's process and procedures, as well as that overall decision that was made for his lot 33 within that plat. And so he's filed a claim with that. This goes back against that claim as a denial from the county attorney's office. Hopefully that helps. Scott, did I miss anything on there? So this is a step in the process of the potential lawsuit.
So the process is now for the county commission to either accept the claim or deny it based on your recommendation?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion, we deny the claim.
Motion by Mr. Adams to deny the claim.
Second.
Is there a second to the motion?
He seconded it. He seconded it.
Kenneth second?
Second.
Any further
Mr.
questions?
Chair,
There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye also. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried, 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Thank you.
Okay.
Number 19?
Yeah.
Correct. So this is the 19 consideration and approval of ranches at Elk Meadows Amendment Number 2, Brian Black, Monticello Development Company, LLC.
Okay, you've seen this one before. This version that's back to you is what the Planning Commission recommended after the rezone request that came from this was denied. the subdivision went back to the planning commission, and they voted to require it to keep to the minimum lot size required in the zone, which is 1 acre. So they said, you've got to come back with 1 acre lots, or else we're not going to improve anything smaller than that. So that's what the developer did. They came back with 1 acre lots. A preliminary plat was reviewed by the planning commission on May 12th, and then this plat was approved or recommended to the board of commissioners for approval at their June 9th planning commission meeting. So that's this subdivision. That's what this subdivision is. So
Mr. Adams?
It looks to me like they do have 50-foot road leading in, but only a 50-foot radius on the cul-de-sac.
Has a 37.5, 37 and a half foot. Yeah, so it doesn't meet the width meets the county road standard, but not on the turnaround. The turnaround is not big enough. When we discussed this with the developer and about the fact that with this configuration, it could never be built to the county standard or adopted by the county for maintenance or for adoption. So the discussions with the road department on that came back to me as we're just leaving the road private, with an understanding that it's not going to be a public road. It's a private road. The tree road.
And the rock ruin road coming in is private, and all it is pit run.
Right. It is not built.
Do you
to
know
the
what
county
the
standard.
width of that is? I don't think that's 50 foot.
It's a good question. I don't know if it is noted on this plat. It looks like it might be 60. The one direction calls out 29.88 feet to what looks like the center of the road. So it might be delayed. I'd have to look at the original plat to see if it's a 60 foot. It should be a 60-foot road
Right away?
because it's a collector. Yeah.
It's a 60-foot right away. I think it's about 25 feet wide right now. So these are my concerns, and probably going to need some legal help on this, Brittany. Number one, I don't want to approve a subdivision that will come back to haunt the county at a later date. I think the road situation will do that. First of all, the Rock Rim Road doesn't meet county standards. It's in horrible condition. Then we go to another tree road private. I just think the county will end up with all of those 8 people that buy those lots will come to the county and want those roads upgraded. It's not fair to the citizens of the county to have to put up their tax dollars to do that when the developer should be required to do that. And so, how can we require the developer to do that even though it's a private road? Do it to a county standard. Brittany, is there any legal basis for doing that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple options that you could have. You could deny them that because it's and only accept it if they come up with if they meet it to the standard of a county road, or you could require a bond. There's a couple options. I would have to look at this a little bit further to see legally what it is and give you a legal opinion at a later meeting. But if you want like more of a generalized thing, I can do that. Or if you want specific questions answered, then I can.
Well, as I read the county's standards, we can require them to put up a bond at 125% of the value of the road. Is that right, Scott?
Yeah.
So does that mean, and if we went that route, I'd like to do it from the point of entry on the Rock Rim Road, that be brought to a county standard or require a bond of 125% of the value, as well as the Tree Road private. And so my question is this, Brittany, if we require a bond, does that mean they have to purchase a bond so that at any point in the future, the county could bring that up to a standard using the bond, the money from the bond to actually do the work? Or I'm not quite sure how that bond works. Scott,
Yeah.
do you know, or Brittany, either one?
So yeah, my understanding of the way the bond works is that yeah, we have a standard that we require. If you're going to build this to the county standard, you have to build it to this, and you have to provide us with a bond. Basically, it's a performance payment bond that if they don't perform the work, we have the money in the bond to go back and finish the work that they started and didn't
We could
finish.
either do it ourselves or hire somebody to do it, right?
Correct. And that's why it's 125% of that. But usually the way that works is it's in a development agreement, and there's a release of the bond back to the developer once they build it, and we sign off on the road once it's built to the standard. The concern I have with this one is our ordinance does have under private roads that we don't intend to dictate any standard for construction of private roads on private property. So that, I guess that's my concern, is how does that fit into this discussion, and whether or not we can. I think it's up to the ordinance gives discretion for the Board of Commissioners to require the bond if they feel it's necessary. But I just don't know how it plays in with them saying their express desire is to keep it private. I don't know how that.
Well, it states on the plat, there's a statement about the road. Move it over just a little bit, Mac, or whoever's.
Yep, got it.
Yeah, it says, number 2, all new roads per this amendment are intended to be private roads until constructed to a county standard, at which time they may be made public without approval by adjoining lot owners. Right of way width is specified hereon. New roads for this amendment are intended for ingress and egress. So clearly, there's an intention there to make that a private public road at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So to protect the county, it sounds to me like, Brittany, we need to require a bond on this road. Is that what you're saying? In order to protect the county?
That's one way that you can protect the county.
All right, and I think that even though the rim or the Rock Rim Road, I know, I thought it'd take a lot longer to get old. But anyway, we need the Rock Rim Road to be part of this subdivision request. I think we need. I'm a little concerned about the cul-de-sac, whether we can get emergency services vehicles in and out of there. If there's a fire, if there's an ambulance, there's whatever. I'm just not comfortable that they've met the standard that we would require for an emergency service vehicle in the first place, let alone the condition of the road. And then I guess another question, I don't know whether you want to take this one or not, Brittany. I know that there's a well out there close to where they're at, and Division of Water Rights needs to tell us what it would take water-wise from a well or 2 wells or whatever to service 8 family homes in these 8 subdivisions.
So I did get some information on
Oh,
that.
okay.
If you'd like me
Good.
to address that a little bit. I just got off the phone with both the Southeast District Engineer for the Division of Water Quality or Environmental
Water
Quality,
Okay.
and in the Division of Water Rights. I talked to both of them. So if they, in this situation with 8 lots, if they choose to service this with one water system, so they consider a water system the whole system. It could include 5 wells, 6 wells, 7 wells, but if they tie together to one system, they consider it a system. It could be one well is one system, but that's not necessarily the case. Usually that's probably what this would be. If one well is one system, then they would need 2 wells to service 8 lots if they intend to not be a public water system. 8 lots is the threshold for becoming a public water system. So
And what's the output required
so
for that many?
For one home, for one full-time residence, they require 0.45 acre feet per year, which is about 400 gallons a day. That's the amount of water they consider that's what you would need for a residence, full-time residence for one. So, and if it's part-time residence, it's 225 gallons per day for part-time residents.
Well,
For one home,
I don't
that's
know
one
if
home.
the developers told you what they intend to do as far as water. I know that sewer-wise, they probably qualify for a septic system with a 1 acre lot, but if it doesn't perk, if those lots haven't been tested for percolation,
And that would be handled at the septic permit. The septic
Okay.
permit, I've talked with Ronnie about that, and he said they can, there may be areas where they fill in dirt and bring in fill,
Okay.
and they can get an area if they fill in a bunch of dirt and fill. So that would all be handled at the septic. Yeah, because each of these, with being an acre, they could each drill individual wells. And I did ask him a little bit about what is the process for public concerns and comments. He says basically our area right now, I can't remember the word he used, but basically if you apply for a water right in San Juan County, they will most likely issue it for groundwater. All the surface rights are called for, but for groundwater rights, basically, if you apply, we'll give you the water, the permit to drill your well. And if there's specific concerns about a certain a well permit or anything, then they have a public process for that, and it's handled on the per well, the specific basis, and you'll see them. They're all published in the paper every time somebody applies for a water right. And
they even ask for people
they ask for comments who want to
protest
protest or anything. That's all process. That's all the public process there for each individual one. So he said on a broader, if there were concerns, if there was, to try to address the policy that they have right now of issuing water rights or well drilling permits in San Juan County, that's a bigger issue that a group could, or the commission could request, or however you wanted to handle that. But as of right now, their policy is that this area, we do issue the permits when they're
Is there
applied
any
for.
way to require a disclosure statement at the time the lots are sold so that people know about the water, about the roads, about infrastructure in general, or not?
I'm sure we could. Yeah, that could be something that could be recorded or could be placed as a condition on this, that hey, every property owner needs to be aware and sign this document that states that they're aware that there's no water, that there's no fire protection, that the roads don't meet standard, whatever. I'm sure that's something that if you would desire that to be in there, I'm sure it could be.
So in that case, if they sign those acknowledgement, then the county won't be responsible for it.
I mean, again, that may go to the attorney's office, how well something like that would hold up,
The other thing is, if there's no water system, if a fire to one of the homes,
Yeah.
how are you going
I believe
to handle it?
Yeah, and I believe the water or the fire policy is clear on that as well. That states that we recognize you're not in the middle of a city with a fire system and fire hydrants. You're a ways away from a fire, and if a fire comes, we're not able to. We're going to respond as quickly as we can, but it's not going to be like you're in a.
Because you don't know the output you don't, right now, you don't know how many wells, maybe one.
Yeah, I'm
You
not
just
sure. It could
assume
be
that
it could be 8
each
different wells.
individual will drill their own well,
That's the potential.
but there's no guarantee of meeting the requirements.
Well, so and that's a question it brings up a broader question that we may want to discuss as a county. We allow people to have a cistern and haul water from a approved water system. People haul water from Monticello City out to homes in the county every day. There's some concerns with that we could discuss if we wanted to have that discussion. That I think we would want to have Monticello City on with, have them be a part of a discussion like that, because they'd be the ones providing the water. And we could, on the county level, we could require a will serve letter from Monticello City for those types of situations before a building permit's issued, or before if a subdivision's planning something like that. But again, there's lots of questions about that, but we don't have, this is a standard that the Division of Water Rights applies when someone applies for a water right. They say, okay, this is the amount of water that we basically give them the right to, 400 gallons a day. Whether we want to make a policy, we don't have a policy right now, whether we want to make a policy that implements a water requirement, that would be a different discussion. Whether we want to do that. We don't have that right now. We allow people to have cisterns. So.
Okay, I'm going to ask Brittany for a legal opinion. And whenever you can get it back to us, give us a legal opinion on the road situation, how would we go about requiring the bond? Because I think that's something that we would definitely want to do. And I'm not too sure I like number 2 in the notes. I wonder if we could change that to be more specific about, even though it's a private road, building it to a county standard. Can we do that legally? So I'm needing a little help here from you.
I can address that in the legal opinion.
Okay, yeah, I'd like you to do that. And then would you address in your legal opinion how to approach getting some kind of information, as Scott has received on the water issue as far as water resources. And then the other thing is, how do we give notice to these potential buyers of unforeseen problems based on this particular plat? As far as, they're at risk as far as water, sewer, roads, infrastructure. If they purchase this, well, I just can't see approving it as it's presented, Scott.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Maryboy. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to table the item for further research, and also some of the questions that Commissioner Adam is bringing are very, very important. I do believe that we do need to figure a way to make a community much safer, and the water is one of the great concerns as well. So maybe the presenter can gather those information for us and bring it back either next meeting or the 2 meetings from now to take an action on this, because I too don't feel very comfortable in proving something that is not well thought out.
So, Kenneth, can I also have you add to your motion, maybe have Mr. Burton contact the city of Monticello and at least start the process of asking the city if they're willing to provide culinary water to folks who are going to live in the county and want to haul it. I mean, we're in a pretty severe drought right now, and if we start getting a lot of these requests for people to haul water from the city of Monticello, I just think we need to get them involved somehow. I don't know
If you wanted as well,
You know, that
so I could invite
that
someone
might
from
be
the Division
that
of
might
Water
be a
Rights.
good idea too.
I could Mark Stilson with the Division of Water Rights.
Okay.
He also offered to come
Okay.
talk if you would like that.
Yep.
You could invite him to come.
I would. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Thank you. The recommendation that's being asked by Commissioner Adams, I will acknowledge that in my motioning table.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Mr. Adams, second the motion. Table motion, no discussion, so vote. Say aye.
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 Aye also.
And you probably have some time to get that legal opinion.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Table motion. 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Okay, thank you.
Can we back up?
Yeah.
Back up. Number
You
15.
leave now if you need to.
Beep and sound.
Okay.
Thanks, Brittany. So you got item 15, Bureau of Land Management, Gunnison
go.
Sage Grouse Resource Management Plan Amendment, Environmental Impact Statement.
Good afternoon. We
Good
have
afternoon.
received an invitation from the Bureau of Land Management to participate as a cooperating agency in the Gunnison Sage Grouse Resource Management Plan amendments. Now, I think there's 10 or 11, there's several anyway, resource management plans. Most of them are in Colorado, but we have one here in the Monticello area, and that's the Monticello Field Office, which has designated critical habitat for Gunnison sage grouse. So you had a little discussion earlier this morning on cooperating agencies and what we've done. And we've done this in the past. And in fact, on the previous resource management plan amendment process, we were a cooperating agency, and I think it was 2014 to 2016. But that amendment process and the EIS was never finalized because the Fish and Wildlife Service was in the process of developing a recovery plan for Gunnison sage grouse. So BLM decided to table that process until this recovery plan was completed, and it's now final as of actually in 2020, a couple of years ago. So they're going to kick off again a resource management plan amendment process, and we've been invited to participate. And even though the percentage of BLM lands that would be affected by the resource management plan amendments is small in relation to the total critical habitat, which is primarily, I think it's 94% of the critical habitat is private lands, but there are some federal minerals involved, I think, with some of those parcels. But as far as the surface acreage, fairly small with BLM. But we did participate in the past and had some input, so I think I'd recommend that we do so again. And the letter before you basically accepts that invitation and designates myself as a contact. So it's up to you what you'd like to do here.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Maryboy.
I do believe that we should agree to the cooperating agency with the BLM and the Gunnison Gray Sage Grouse Management Plan. And I would recommend that Nick start making those arrangements. And that would be my motion.
Motion made by Mr. Kenneth Berryboy to,
Cooperating agency.
to go ahead and, the 15 or, yeah.
Yep.
To approve the Sage Grouse Resource Management Plan amendment.
Well, I think really all you're asking for today is to be able to approve the cooperating agency status, right?
Basically to accept that invitation to be a
Yeah,
cooperating
exactly.
agency, and then we would need to designate someone as a contact. So I just put myself in as a contact.
Yeah, I think Nick would be the appropriate
Okay.
person, and I'd second that motion. But I do have a comment.
Okay. Mr. Adams,
Nick.
second the motion.
That,
Go ahead with
that
your comment.
acreage of BLM may be, and I can't remember for sure, but it might be under consideration for trade out from the BLM with Sitla.
I see.
I'm almost
Okay.
sure that it is, but you might,
All right.
I could put you in touch with
I
Sitla
guess-
to make sure.
Yeah. And I guess if that happens, then from the Sitla side, I don't know if we would want to be involved or not.
You don't know if we want to cooperate with Sitla?
Well, that'd be up to the commission.
I think that's a pretty good concern.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right, well, that's just,
We'll keep that under advisement then,
yeah, so
if that happens.
we need to vote.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Aye also. Kenneth. How do you vote, Mr. Maryboy?
I
Okay.
as well.
3 in favor, 0 opposed, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick.
16.
Consideration and approval of $500,000 purchase for 2 Peterbilt trucks with a dump belly and snowplow equipment.
Motion.
Mr. Adair. Mr.
Yes, sir.
Go
Can you
ahead.
hear me?
Kenneth made a
Kenneth, motion?
Yeah,
Yes.
I'll second the motion, but I think we ought to have Todd at least tell us about it.
Okay, so what we've got is we've got some aging fleet. So one of these is actually for this budget year and the other is for next budget year, but they're a year out building these trucks because of the COVID and everything that's going on. So one of these trucks will come out of this year's budget and one will be out of next year's budget. We have to give them a $10,000 down payment on each truck to get on the list to start the build. And so that's kind of what this is one's approval for this year, one will be next year, but I need to get next year's approved on next year's budget because they're a year out, if that makes sense. And so we'll end up taking possession of both trucks about a year from now. But right now we've got to give them 20 grand and then we'll pay the remainder of it when the trucks are delivered.
Any question? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Also. 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
That was easier than getting the pressure washer, Commissioner Adams.
Good job, TJ.
Yeah. 17.
All right, item 17, consideration and approval of $15,056 for replacement engine in the water truck.
So,
Motion.
okay.
Mr. Adair.
Well, just a little background. So we had an engine go out on one of our older water trucks we reached out to see if we could get a newer one. The cheapest that we could find was in the $90,000 range, just with limited resources on used equipment. So we want to just rebuild the engine in that older truck, even though we don't really want to. It's kind of fiscally what we have to do with being able to get a truck for a decent price with the limited availability. So that's why we want to rebuild that engine.
Any motions?
Motion.
I'll second it with a question.
Go ahead. Question?
Okay, TJ, how many pistons and how many spark plugs does this rebuild engine have? No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead, talk with the phone.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion carries. 3 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thanks, commissioners.
We're all the way up to 20.
We are on
Yeah,
20.
20.
Consideration and approval of Blankenagel subdivision lot 16B, amendment number 2.
All right, this is a
Motion.
pretty small subdivision. This is just taking one larger lot into 2 still pretty large lots. 5 acres and 6.47. So this is in LaSalle. That's where this is at.
So is he splitting a lot or is this a new?
Yeah, so they're splitting lots, lot 16B
Okay.
into 16B2 and B1. Basically, the back lot becomes a flag lot with it coming all the way down to the existing county road, Markle Road, there in LaSalle.
Do we have any road issues with this one?
Not that I was aware of. They have, each lot has frontage on the county road, so they're not creating any roads.
Okay.
They do designate a turnaround easement. It's just an easement on this lot so that there is a space reserved for some turnaround on the lot. But it is a flag lot with a 25-foot tie to an existing county road. So,
And it looks to me like 16B1 has a home and a couple of facilities on it, but B2 has nothing on it.
correct. Yeah. I think that's the purpose of this, is to be able to sell that, or I'm not sure if it's family, but to have someone else build a house back behind.
Okay. Okay. Motion to approve.
Motion made by Mr. Adams. Is there a second?
That's number 23, right?
20.
20.
20.
Second. Second the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any further question? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Aye also. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries. 21.
All right, item number 21 is the Coronado Park Tract C amendment. This is in Spanish Valley. This is taking Tract C, which I don't know if I have the full acreage on this, but it's making 26 lots in Tract C. The Planning Commission reviewed this. So this is Spanish Valley. The roads are planned to be built to the public road standard, to the county standard. And yeah, this is basically planned to be workforce housing development there in Spanish Valley.
So this isn't an addition, it's a completely new subdivision?
So this is vacant land that was it was identified in the Coronado Park subdivision as Tract C.
Okay,
So it's an amendment to an existing subdivision, but yeah, this is basically a new development within that subdivision. They have designated 2 sections for future development, potentially there in the middle, and then along Spanish Valley Drive that's designated there as Tract I and Tract H.
so these lots all have accessibility to sewer and water?
Correct. Yes, through the Spanish Valley, San Juan Spanish Valley Special Service District.
And the notes are so little that I can't read them, so will you please tell me what it says about infrastructure in any of those notes?
Yeah, so there is a note that we didn't really require, but there is a Dominion Energy required a note that's on the plat for gas infrastructure. We do have utility easements designated around each lot, and it also has the road note says all roads within these county road designations shall be brought up to a standard accessible to San Juan County. It shall be the buyer, owner, or developer responsible for building said roads, not San Juan County. So it really doesn't. It just talks about the
Okay.
the
That they'll be
standard,
brought
that
to a
they'll
county.
that they will be built to the county
Do
standard.
you know if they intend to pave the roads or will they be gravel?
Yeah, the county standard in Spanish Valley is
Is paved.
pavement. Yeah.
So what about road widths? It's still small
Yeah,
enough.
so-
Are they 50 footers?
Got this.
So
25
yes,
and 25.
yeah, 25 from the center. So yeah, they're all 50 foot, except for that one little collector is 60 feet. So our standard requires that in and out Lydia lane is a 60-foot width, and that's what we require for collectors.
So are they required to put fire hydrants in there as well?
That's a good question. I don't know if we addressed that. Not at least not in the subdivision, but that probably would be something that they would need to provide and install.
Well,
Looks like a fort
I think
on
before I'd
the entrance.
before I'd approve it, I would want to approve it subject to having some fire protection in there.
Yeah,
Okay,
there needs to be.
and have that outlined on the plat that's a requirement.
Well, I don't mind approving the plat the way it is, but I'd like to approve it subject to addressing fire concerns or fire hydrants or something like
Okay,
that.
as long as they meet the fire
Yeah, as far as they
fire
meet the
hydrant
state
standards.
fire code.
Okay.
Yeah. And other than that, it looks okay to me. You ever seen Mac this quiet during a commission meeting?
Where is he?
He's over
Oh.
there.
Is there a motion to
I'll make-
table it with your?
I'll make the motion to approve it, subject to them meeting the state fire requirements, fire hydrant requirements or whatever. I'm not saying these things very good. Where's Marjorie? Need somebody that can speak. All right, that's my motion.
Motion by Mr. Adams,
Mr. Chair,
approve subject to fire
Standards, fire hydrant standard.
fire standards or the code.
Yep.
Is there a second?
Mr. Chair,
Mr.
can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Also, if there's any comments that needs to be addressed please respond to those. And with that, I will agree with Mr. Commissioner Adams' motion and second the motion.
Okay. Any specifically, is there a comment you want to add to?
Who?
Concern?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do believe that there are some comments for the night and the accommodation of that, and there should be some comment by the nearby community that have been addressed. I think those needs to be acknowledged, and also road is critical issue. And those need to be also considered into the motion that we're about to make. And I think Commissioner Adams covered the fire and also some of the possibility of floodings. Those concerns need to be looked at. And with that, that would be a recommendation along with the seconding the motion.
Okay. Thank you.
Is that from your engineering?
Yeah, that's from engineering.
Any further questions? If not, call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carried. Thank you. 22. Continue, Mr. Scott.
Yeah. So item number 22 is an application for an overnight accommodations overlay for Spanish Valley. This is in the highway commercial district. This is property owned by Stephen Howard, it's Red Rock Earth Movers, that he wants to have 2 parcels included in the overlay. This first step really just addresses the properties that he wants in the overlay. I've identified those in the staff report by their parcel numbers. One's a 0.7 acre parcel and one's a 0.75. They're both pretty close to 3/4 of an acre. They're in the highway commercial district. He would like to basically plans an RV park on one of the parcels and a commercial development with second story nightly rentals above. So both of these would be subject to the overlay. Details of those, because this is a 3-step process, right now we address the property to be included in the overlay. And that's what the Planning Commission recommended approval at their June 9th meeting. They made a recommendation to approve this for the overnight accommodations overlay, so that would allow the developer to proceed to the next step, where we would get more detail on the intended uses and the number of units and whatnot.
Okay. Mr. Adams?
So we've done this before down in this area. We've gone through all this 3-step process with other developers, and it's worked well where there is a 3-step process. All we're doing today is identifying the parcels of land where the different kinds of facilities will be, but this will come back to us 2 more times before we actually approve it. Is that correct?
Yeah, the ordinance actually has it coming back to the commission, so the Planning Commission again and the County Commission again, both.
Okay.
And then once it's gone through, once you've approved that and with any sort of development conditions or anything else at that second stage, then it can just be approved by the Planning Commission with as the development agreement or the developments, unless there's like one of these. If they do a subdivision plat, then that at that 3rd stage, the subdivision plat would then come back through here. But just because you have to sign off on all subdivision plats, but
I think, Scott, when you're meeting with these developers down in that area, especially in Spanish Valley, I think we ought to be really concerned about fire protection on everything.
Okay.
We ought to be looking at fire hydrants and accessibility of a fire truck to some water and stuff. But I have no problem with approving this step one, Commissioner,
Yes.
and I'll make a motion to approve.
Mr. Adams' motion to approve. Is there a second? Mr. Barry
So
Boy.
Commissioner Maryboy is logged off. He's no longer on the meeting.
Second.
Can I ask just one quick question, Scott?
Sure.
Where is this in relationship to the clinic? Is it north of the clinic or?
It's north and west of the
Oh,
clinic.
it's
So-
right on 191
Yep,
then.
it's just right there. It's where the Moab Business Park is.
Yeah.
And those buildings, those metal buildings going on up north.
Yeah.
The furthest north metal building is the one that's identified right here as the
Okay.
existing Red Rock Earth Movers building.
Okay.
So,
All right. Call for the question.
Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. 2 in favor, 0 opposed. Motion carries. 23.
all right, this one again is the same step one of this Spanish Valley Overnight Accommodations Overlay application. This property that they are looking to apply for is identified with this parcel number. It's a 7-acre piece. This one is just south of the Rimview condos or whatever that exist. They're an existing overnight accommodation on the highway. So this is property that they have basically just identified and that they're looking to purchase. So they have been identified as an agent of the existing owner, and the existing owner has signed off on them making this application as a condition of purchasing the property to do a development, an overnight accommodations development along the highway here.
Is it close to the county line then?
So this one is actually the property just to the south is where Sitla's property starts.
Okay.
So this is kind of the last chunk of the existing developed and privately owned land before it hits the Sitla ownership and going south on 191 there. So
this is the same thing we just looked at. It's step one, right?
Step one, they'll come back, and they've actually already gotten me the information for step two.
Planning Commission has looked at it.
Planning Commission looked at it. They made a recommendation
Okay.
at their June 9th meeting.
Okay,
So-
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second the motion. Any further question or no comment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye also. Opposed, nay. 2 in favor, 0 opposed, motion carries.
Thanks, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Hello,
Oh, there you
Hey,
go.
you came back.
back again. All right.
Just in time for commission reports.
Okay, who likes to be the first? Reports.
Mine's short.
Mr. Chair,
Thank you. Yeah.
Kenneth, where's Kenneth?
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Maryboy.
thank you. Everybody hear me?
Yep.
My my report is very concise and very small. I've been out meeting with the veterans all the way from Navajo Mountain to Aneth. And the date for the summer gathering on the Bears Ears National Monument is going to be July 22nd to the 24th. What we planned to do was, besides the gathering, the veterans, the Utah veterans wanted to acknowledge a one day, a very special welcome home to the Vietnam veterans. During the Vietnam era, a lot of those veterans were never appropriately welcome home. Some of them, they had to sneak home because of the protesters. So we got in touch with the Governor Cox staff, Mike, and they provided us with some helicopters and some military outfit from Phoenix, Arizona wanted to be part of it. There were a group of people that go out and help veterans, and the same thing with Albuquerque. And from Moab and Grand Junction, there's a group called Team Recon. They wanted to come out as well. And what we wanted to do was set up at least about 20 teepees to do a prayer service for all the veterans, red, purple, blue, whatever nationality they are. Just wanted to do a special prayer service for all of our veterans, except for that one day to acknowledge the Vietnam veterans for their welcoming home. But we canceled that. No helicopters, no veterans, nothing's going to happen. Mainly because of the fire restriction and also some other CDC guideline. So we're not going to hold our veterans service this year until next year, but the Bears Ears gathering will still happen on the 22nd to the 24th. So this week we're meeting with the Aneth and other organization to put up, instead of doing the big service up there, we're going to put up our tent and cook out down in Sand Island and just do a little dinner for the veterans and let them know what's going on and what's not taking place. So I will be doing that. And the other one is that the Utah Veterans Organization, all the way from Navajo Mountain to Aneth, decided to get away from the Navajo Nation Veterans Organization. They're short-funded, and the northern part of the Navajo Nation rarely gets anything or nothing. So they decided to get away and develop a nonprofit organization wing under the UNHS. So far, they've provided us a building, and they provided us some uniforms and some other necessity for the Veterans Organization. And every veterans have to go either to Grand Junction, Salt Lake City, Albuquerque, or Phoenix for medical services. So from now on, they're going to bring in the medical unit to Montezuma Creek or Navajo Mountain or elsewhere, so the veterans can be seen there instead of driving out. So that nonprofit 401c3 status is coming together, and we're working very hard. We have a meeting scheduled with Tony Daish and also the board of the NRF. And also we have a meeting scheduled with the Mike Jensen's with the UNHS to further develop into a 501c3. Mexican Water Community, the chapter is already underway developing the solar and wind farm. Last Tuesday during our commission meeting, they had a huge economic type of groundbreaking. So the investors from Panama all over flew in, and we had a meeting with them, and they agreed to fund some of the services that will be developed in Mexican Water area. And further development is reaching out to the railway, out to the out to New Mexico, all the way out to the coast on some fiber optics. So we're very busy right now at the at Mexican Water and also with the veterans. And I'll be around, and I keep in touch with Mac. And there's some travel requests that has been submitted, and we will acknowledge that. And I think it's a good benefit for our county. Some of these staff gets to go to some of these trainings. So with that, Mr. Chair and Commission, thank you very much. And that's the extent of my report for this month.
Okay. Mr. Adams?
Okay, last week I went to a USIP board meeting. On the 27th, I've got a Colorado River Advisory Committee meeting in Loa. On the 29th, I have UAC Justice Conference, and I think it's Draper, is that right, Mac?
Yeah, Sandy area.
And that's the extent of my report.
Mine is been busy with the what we call a corporate meeting for school board. Now it's a community school. We had 5 days of meeting, redoing our policy and procedures for the coming year. And we still have a lot more to go. So, and we designated maybe 2-3 days in July to finish up. Then I went to this 18th, the signing of the cooperative agreement between BLM, Forest Service, and Bears Ears Intertribal Coalition. So they had the signing over at the White Mesa Community Center. Quite a lot of people there. And then we caravan all the way down to Mexican Hat. Day after, well, close to noon. And the unveiling of the sign there. So, in that, also notice coming through, I got a email from the lady from the state telling me about the broadband has worked. It's laying the line into the ground as the agreement has agreed, signed off on it, the right of way. So that has triggered the work on the Navajo Nation line. So at the last meeting on, I think, July 2nd in Crown Point, I stated that we need that right-of-way agreement. That was on the table of Navajo Nation Department of Historical Preservation. So, and I saw the guy, Richard McKay, who was the archaeologist here at attend the signing. So I say, you're a good man. You have some ashes that you sprinkle on
To help out.
to get the bad spirit out of the way.
Yeah.
We laugh about it. That's the extent of my report, and thank you very much.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion made by Mr.
Second.
Adam to adjourn,
Second.
second by Mr. Mayor Boy. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, nay. 3 in favor, 0 opposed. We stand adjourned at this time. Time is 1:14.
Okay. You didn't say much today.
We've got court tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah, I'll be
Yes,
here.
that's right.
So that thing's
What time is that?
One.
One
One
we
o'clock.
meeting here?
Yeah.
This
we
is
can
crazy a
either-
pin.
I'll let me grab one.
Make sure it's publicly noticed.
I have a trashy pin.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Did you get all registered? Was it your husband that was with you last time when you popped in my office? You're like, hey, he's not registered.
He's not.
Well, no, that's what you mentioned to us, and so they had the different address, so he should be hooked up now.
Okay, we don't have
Megan hooked him up.
that.
So. Okay, talk to Megan downstairs because she had mentioned that there's just the wrong address or something that he had entered.
22nd.
She mentioned so she was looking
Today's
at
the 21st.
So follow up with her just to make sure.
Today is the 21st.
Oh, yeah, the year is.
Okay,
Yes,
I'll get it. She
you're-
yeah, she is head down to Mexican water or something for elections.
That's
So
what
I'll
you
get
said.
it to her. So, how are you doing?
Well, it's,
Good.
we
Busy
better
as
check
ever?
Just
into
thought
it.
I'd take a break from the dust and come and visit you.
Marjorie, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It's good to see you, Commissioner.
Good to see you.
She's always busy.
I appreciate that bringing that to
Actually,
my attention.
I wanted to say that I have written a children's book about the Vietnam War. And if there is something that honors
I just
Vietnam
don't-
veterans,
I'm
I'd
just-
like to donate.
Okay.
some copies.
Yeah, so Kenneth has been
So
working
keep
on.
me in the loop.
Okay. Yeah, Kenneth has been working on that, and it's kind of his own personal gig that he's been trying to get these guys together and get them all up. But like he mentioned, this year's canceled with all the fire restrictions and everything.
And
And
that's
it's just
too
like
bad.
such a pain. But I'd rather postpone than cause a fire. Get in
We
trouble.
need rain.
Yes,
More rain.
totally. We'll get it this week. Hopefully we
That's
get a
what I
lot.
hear.
So, hey, thanks.
Thanks.
We've got a little bit this weekend.